Dietrich here with Truth is Now Treason. Are you one of those people who likes to tell others, you should stay out of politics, and you get mad when they don't? There are even people who will tell you that Jesus himself says we should stay out of politics. Is that accurate? No, it's not. Not even close. We are living in a time where the Democrat Party has completely lost their moral compass. They're calling what is good evil and what's evil good. All this is going on while Christian leaders are telling people that we should be silent in regards to politics, or we should just be ignoring it. This is not a time for us to be silent. This is a time for us to be dangerous. Jesus was dangerous. The leaders of his day couldn't stand him because he was dangerous. Dangerous, not as in violent, but bold. He stood up to evil using the truth, and that frightened or angered those who heard his words. It is time for Christians to unapologetically stand and not back down. It is time for us to speak up when it might not be easy to do so. Why? Because one word of truth outweighs the entire world. What does that mean? It means when we know somebody is saying something that's a lie, we don't remain silent as if we tacitly agree with the lie they've just said. We just need to simply say, that's not true. That is a lie. It is time for the body of Christ to be dangerous. Want an example of dangerous? Here's Riley Gaines.
Really what had thrusted me over the edge into no longer being willing to lie, ultimately, is he and I raced. He and I raced in the 200 freestyle. So, look, we get on the blocks, dive off, swim 8 laps of freestyle, touch the ball at the end. I look up at the scoreboard, and almost impossibly enough, Joe, we had gone the exact same time, meaning, of course, we had tied. The NCAA official looks at both Thomas and myself. Thomas, who is towering over me, right, 6'4", and this official looks at both of us and says, "Great job, you two. But you tied, and we only have one trophy, so we're going to give the trophy to Leah. Sorry, Riley, you don't get one." My
Jesus Christ.
Heart rate was still high, having just competed. My adrenaline was still pumping. And so the first thing that I thought ended up being the first thing that I said, and the first thought that I had was just what you had just said, right? Like, isn't this everything that Title IX was passed to prevent from happening? What do you mean you're going to give the trophy to the man in the women's 200 freestyle? I asked the question that no one dared ask all season, and I said, why? Which, of course, he didn't have an answer as to why. They didn't give him a script of what to say when someone asks you the dreaded question of why. And so his first excuse he came up with, he's stumbling on his words, and he's, we're actually just doing this in chronological order, he said. And so I said, okay, do you mean alphabetical? Because G comes before T. Otherwise, I literally have no idea what you're being chronological about, right? We tied. So again, what's your rationale here? And finally, he realized that he didn't have a justification. He didn't have an answer for this. And so, and I actually appreciate his honesty, this is when his face changed. He looked sad. His voice changed. I could tell he didn't even believe what he was about to say. But this official looked at me and said, "Riley, I am so sorry, but we have been advised as an organization that when photos are being taken, it's crucial that the trophy's in Leah's hands. Again, you can pose with this one, but you have to give yours back. Leah takes the trophy home. You go home empty-handed, end of story. We can eventually mail you one."
Oh my God.
Is what they said. So it was like that moment when I felt guilty at that point. I felt guilty for participating in the farce. I felt guilty for even getting in the water.
Until next time.